All right, so namaste and good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Nuraj. I'm a full-time technical professional working as a project manager at Leapfrog, a part-time educator, a student of psychology, and Agile enthusiast, right? So in today's session, we'll be discussing about psychological safety, the silent catalyst for Agile success. So what is psychological safety? I just want to ask few of the people out here, what do you understand by psychological safety? Anyone? From the audience? All right, okay. So I think you guys have heard about psychological safety, yeah, please. Okay, all right, okay. Anybody else? Anyone from the audience? Yes, so he's right? So psychological safety, I'll get into the detail of psychological safety in later slides as well, but I hope you guys have heard about psychological safety a lot in your working environment. I see people from diverse background, from IT background, from education background out here, right? So this is one of the important factors that we need in everyday life to understand people, to understand the perspective, right? So what we have to do is, I think you guys have also learned in the past in chemistry that there is a term known as catalyst, right? So it acts as a, substance, so which increases or decreases the rate of chemical reaction, right? So similarly, psychological safety also increases the overall efficiency and collaboration of people in a team. We have to understand in that way. And the reason that this is silent catalyst is that this is not in the forefront. It acts in behind the scene when we are working in a team, right? So moving to our next slide. So in today's session, we'll be discussing on three aspects. One is defining what is psychological safety. We'll go into the history of psychological safety, how it derived and how it is being used in everyday life. And next is we'll toss the basic of DEI. And finally, we'll have basic steps how we can introduce or we can foster psychological safety in a team, right? So we'll be doing that. This is, we won't have much of activities at the moment, but later you guys can reach out to me and we can have better, team activities as well so that you guys can foster psychological safety in your team. All right, so moving to our first slide, this is the definition of psychological safety. So what is psychological safety? So it is a shared belief where, people can share the experiences without feeling without feeling, they are not judged, right? As you can see here, it is the foundation for inclusive workplace. It creates a safe place for all team members, and it allows sharing of ideas without fear of judgment or repercussion, right? So people can easily express their feelings, their belief, right, in a team. So that is psychological safety. All right. Do you have any questions till date? All right. So to touch base with this is the next slide. So I just want to make sure that how this term arrived, right? So psychological safety was established in around 1950s by a psychologist known as Rogers, right? And the basic foundation was more focused on organizational psychology, how it impacts the team, right? Accordingly, so later in 1990s or late in 2000, Amy Edmondson, so there is a Harvard professor known as Amy Edmondson, so she established this psychological safety in workplace, right? She is a Harvard professor, and later in 2000, so since this was being widely used in workplace, so in Agile framework also, this also came into play. And to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so this framework, or this is one of the basic framework that has been set by Abraham Maslow. So he's one of the prominent psychologists in psychology field, right? So what he have mentioned is that there are three needs of people. One is basic need, second is psychological need, and the third is self-fulfillment needs, right? So when these all needs are fulfilled, one can reach the full potential and they can deliver efficiently, right? So, and on this aspect, he also has mentioned that this is all psychological safety is also one of the fundamental human need for collaboration and innovation, right? So, as in Agile framework, or let's say in Agile methodology, the Scrum frameworks, what we can see is that we focus more on collaboration rather than tools, right? So for that also, we need to make sure that we must have psychological safety in a team where people feel safe enough to speak up, right? And they can make mistakes as well without the fear of judgment. So Abraham Maslow made sure that these are one of the needs of people as well, right? So have you guys heard about this? The hierarchy of needs? Okay. Moving to our next slide. So, what are the benefits of psychological safety? So there are, all right, just a second. All right, so these are the benefits of psychological safety, but how? Just wanted to emphasize more on how this psychological safety benefits the team, right? So when team feels safe enough to speak up, they can share the beliefs, they can make mistakes without the fear of judgment. So this creates a more collaborative environment within the team, right? And similarly, when there is more collaboration, the ideas are being shared, so it fosters innovation, right? And similarly, when there are more innovations, the problems are being solved. So it creates or enhances the team productivity. And finally, when everything is being met, so it overall increases or improves the overall employee satisfaction in a team. So these are the benefits of psychological safety. Do you guys have any questions till date? All right. So moving to next slide. So this is one of the key terms. Before when you move into psychological safety, we have to understand what is DEI. I think there's another session on DEI as well. So we have to make sure that we understand this part in order to foster psychological safety. So DEI refers to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we living in this society, we work in diverse, diverse backgrounds. We come from diverse backgrounds, right? From age to culture to ethnicity and things like that. So they have their own set of beliefs and culture, right? So we have to make sure that everything is being heard, everyone is being heard, just to make sure that they feel safe enough to speak up, right? And another part is equity. So what is equity? Anyone can answer? Anyone from the audience? Okay, so there's a difference between equity and equality. So what is equity, what is equality? We have to make sure that we understand these two terms. So equality means we get all the benefits that's here. So everyone is getting the lunch. Let's say, for example, if you're working in a tech industry, so everyone gets their laptop, right? So everyone gets laptop from the company, right? So that's equality. Everyone is getting what they deserve. So the equity means that, let's say, for example, the technical leads, or let's say the tech people get advanced or what do you say, better high performance laptops, right? So, and let's say the delivery team, or let's say the operational team gets a simple kind of laptops, right? So that's equity. So depending on the need and responsibilities, the things that we provide to the people, so that's equity, right? And the other is inclusion. So what is inclusion? Anyone can answer? Anybody? All right, so inclusion means to make sure that people are being included in a team. Let's say, for example, if you have around 10 people in a team, so we have to make sure that they are being included in the team, right? Their voices are being heard. They can speak up in the team, right? So that's what inclusion is. We have to make sure that they are being heard accordingly, right? And the next is sense of belonging. All right, so after a team feels that they are being included in the team, we have to make sure that everything they are saying or they are portraying or they are sharing is not, what do we say? It's not being judged, right? And after people feel included, then slowly and drastically they have the sense of belonging. So this is a very continuous approach to in any environment that we have to make sure that people are following. This won't happen in a day or in a week. So we have to make sure that people are feeling belonged, right, in a team. The sense of belonging must be there. And people have their own perspective. They have their own sense of belonging. Maybe you guys work out, you feel that you belong to the gyms or things like that. If you are an educator, you feel that you belong to the education industry. or if you love coding, you feel that you belong to the coding industry, right? So that's their own, that people have their own sense of belonging out here. So while moving from inclusion to belonging, we have to make sure that we as leaders, we have to make sure that we recognize the difference of the people, they have their opinions, right? And one of the major factor is we have to make sure that we have proper rapport building with the people, right? So that's building connection. And the other part is we have to recognize the unique contribution in a team. So these three aspects, right, in a team converts inclusion to belonging. All right, so any questions till date? Or am I moving too fast? All right, okay. All right, so the next is the steps for building psychological safety. The first step is through active listening. So these are a few points how we can, make sure that we're actively listening to the people, right? So one thing is we have to be fully present. So if you are at a meeting, we have to make sure that we are attentive to the people rather than, we use mobile phones during meetings. So that won't make a proper environment for active listening. Similarly, the other aspect is empathy. So we have to make sure that we practice empathy. And the next is in any active listening part, we have to reflect and clarify. We are trying to make sure that the person, or the opponent, or let's say the recipient is being heard, right? And the other thing is, without judgment, we have to provide thoughtful response as well. So by this way, we can practice active listening out here. This is one of the first steps that we have to make sure that we are doing it the right way. And the other part is through empathy. Anyone can answer what is empathy? I think you guys have heard empathy a lot in today's world, right? Please. Yeah, exactly. To put them in other shoes, and we try to understand them, right? So there's a difference between sympathy and empathy, right? For example, sympathy means, okay, if the guy is having any problem, so we just say them sorry and things like that. That would be more sympathy, right? But empathy is if the guy is having problem, we can just listen to them, right? Or maybe we can put them on their shoes and make sure that they are being heard, right? So we have to empathize with the people, all right? How can we practice empathy to build proper psychological safety? All right. The first thing is always validate emotions by reflecting on what the person is feeling, right? We have to validate their emotions. If they are feeling sad, we don't have to laugh at them, right? So that's there. The next is avoid premature judgments and opinions, right? So we don't have to judge them. We can't judge them. We just have to listen to them. Continuous listening is fine for that. The next is clearly explaining or understanding their feelings, right? So in most of the cases, people are not able to empathize in most of the cases, right? But with continuous practice, we can make sure that we are empathizing them properly. And empathy comes with experience, right? So we have to make sure of that. The other part is whenever we have to embrace vulnerability by sharing our own experiences and challenges, right? So whenever somebody is sharing the problems, we can relate to them by sharing our own problems during that time as well. And the next important part is by offering them any help if we can, right? If the person is having emotional breakdown, we can make sure that they are getting proper guidance or they are getting proper counseling, right? So things like through such steps, we can make sure that they are being empathized accordingly, all right? All right, so moving to the next slide. Another part is through inclusive decision making. So anyone can answer what is inclusive decision making? Anyone from the audience? All right. So if you are working in a large team, we have to make sure that everyone is being heard. If you are making decisions for the team, we have to make sure that all their inputs are being taken into place or taken into taken into consideration, right? So whenever you are working in a large team, we have to make sure that everyone inputs are being heard. And one of the important factors how we can contribute or you can achieve this decision making is through diverse inputs. We have to make sure all the diverse inputs are being considered. Next is through we have to make sure that all people are included in the meeting. If you have a team of around 10 people and around 5 people are leaders, right? So we have to make sure that everyone is being everyone are in the meeting. Similarly, the other thing is if you are trying to, you know, execute any process or implement any process, we have to make sure that the process is transparent and we have to answer the why. Why are we implementing that process and how it helps the team? So we as leaders, we have to make sure that the process is transparent. The other is feedback culture. In today's world, feedback is one of the crucial factors that helps people, to achieve the overall gaps, right? To fulfill the gaps or make sure that the gaps are fulfilled. So the constructive feedback must be there. The continuous constructive feedback culture must be there, just to make sure that people, if they are getting stuck or if they are, having any challenges, they can overcome that part, right? So similarly, the other part is collaborative approach. So if a team is working in a, let's say for a problem solving, or if they are working in any problem statement, right? And there we have to make sure that there is a collaborative approach with the team. It's not that I as leader only can input my thinking or my values out there, but we have to make sure that everyone is included out there and we have a collaborative approach to make sure that we fulfill the overall, let's say we solve the problem, right? So that's how we make sure that people are being included through these steps. Okay. All right, so the next part is with building psychological safety through compassion and authenticity. So what does this mean? You guys might have heard in multiple scenarios that whenever we are building rapport with the team members, we as an individual, right, we have to be vulnerable as well, so that the recipient, they can also share their problems or challenges with us, right? So we must be vulnerable initially, so that the other person also can, share their challenge accordingly. And we have to make sure that people are being recognized and they are being appreciated for their work. I think this is very valid in everyday workplace as well, where, as leaders, we have to recognize people for their contributions and they are also appreciated accordingly. And another part is risk-taking. So what is risk-taking? We have to make sure that people are taking risks without the fear of judgment, without a fear of failure, right? So if they feel that they can take risk and no matter the consequences, they can achieve, the end result, we have to make sure that we are providing them the environment for risk-taking. Accordingly, the other part is authentic sharing. So let's say if I am, for example, if I'm having a rapport building with an individual, we have to make sure that we are also expressing our experiences where we had failures in the past. So through such ways, the recipient also makes sure that, okay, it's fine to make mistakes. It's fine to, sometimes break down, right? So through such rapport building, or through such authentic sharing, we make sure that there is proper compassion and authenticity with the leaders and the team members, right? So moving to the next slide. All right, so this is through conversations. So we as individuals, we work with humans, right? So we need to have everyday conversation with the people, right? So while having conversation, we have to make sure we have open dialogues. Anybody can, share their experiences or share their beliefs. So we must have open dialogues. The other part is the constructive feedback, the continuous constructive feedback that we have to provide to the people. And similarly, the other part is conflict resolution. So every day, there might be some conflicts with an individual or in a team. For example, if you are working in the last team, it's not evident that people will be all in the same page every time, right? So during such time, there are conflicts, right? So we have to make sure that we are resolving the conflict with proper suggestions and the overall action plans, just to make sure that the opponent or the team members, they don't feel undervalued. Similarly, The other part is active participation. So whenever we are trying to, let's say, trying to build psychological safety in a team, we have to make sure that people are participating accordingly. We can find that people are not actively participating most of the cases in a large group of people, as you can see here, right? So the thing is, we have to create a place. We as a leaders, we have to create a place, where people can easily actively participate, right? And through such, when people are actively participating, the questions arises, and most of the problems are solved through such practices, right? So these are few pointers that we can focus on just to make sure that we have proper psychological safety within a team, right? And that's all. But before, ending the slide, just wanted to make sure that how psychological safety has helped organizations to, foster collaborations and have proper, let's say, proper results or proper deliverables, right? So in the past, in 2010, there was a project known as Google Aristotle. Google, conducted a project known as Aristotle, right? And in that project, what was done was that there were various factors that were considered during that time, but one of the major factors that helped Google to succeed in that project was through psychological safety, where people were given the opportunity to fail, take risk, and that was one of the success for Google as well, right? So there are other examples of Spotify as well, of Microsoft as well, through which psychological safety had played a vital role for them to succeed in the markets, right? So these are a few aspects that I wanted to cover for psychological safety. So before ending the slide, do you guys have any questions or queries? Please.